Hello chess fans, Coach Jason here, and today I want to look at one of the most important moves to understand in chess, and that is check. We're going to go into detail about check and how to escape check. Since I have a new school year with a bunch of brand new students, maybe you don't know that I always harp on always considering every possible check, so we'll get into that. And then we're going to go ahead and have some fun with some checkmate in one puzzles. We'll do 5 checkmates in one, and there's a timestamp right down there now to show you when to look for that checkmate at 5 if you want to just skip ahead of the explanation and get right to the puzzles. Well, let's go ahead and get right into check. So in this position, it is actually black to play here. We're playing for the black king here, and we want to see how can we actually attack this white king here. How are we going to go after him? So what I'd like for you to do is go ahead and pause your video and count how many different ways you see to put that white king in check. I'm going to pause now. Okay. Hopefully you had a moment to go ahead and pause that video. How many checks did you find? Well, there are actually 8 different checks. The queen could capture the bishop with check. She could move here to d4 with check. She could move to d3 with check. She could move to d2. That would also be check. She could zip over here to f3. That would also be check. And she could go right down here to e5. That would also be check. So 6 different checks with the queen, and there are also 2 possibilities with the bishop here. The bishop could move over here, that would be check, and the bishop could move over here. So 6 plus 2, we have 8 different checks with the 2 pieces there. And as I always say, we always want to consider every possible check. So in this position, black actually plays bishop to b7 check. Not actually the best move, but a checking move nonetheless. We're going to go and flip the board now and consider the different ways to get out of check. Now there's 3 different ways to get out of most checks. Well, some checks anyway. So you can capture the checking piece, you could block that piece, or you could run away from the check. And there's a acronym CPR that is often used for this, for capture, protect, and run away. So capturing here, the example would be just the rook go ahead and capturing the bishop. So rook captures b7, rook takes b7. That would also be a checking move, checking the black king. So that's the C in CPR. And then protect would be just pushing this pawn up. So we could block with the pawn, and that's the P, so CPR, protect or block. And then the other option, running away, we could step here or here. I think those are the only, those are the only safe squares available for our king. Everything else is covered by the bishop or the queen, or blocked with our own pawns, okay? So probably best here is actually, well, go ahead and think about it for a moment. What would you play here? I think there's a couple of good options for white. I think I would actually go ahead and capture, and that's a sacrifice. We're giving up a 5-point piece for a 3-point piece, but now we've got this pawn that we can push, and what is the king going to do? Maybe he goes to, say, a6, but doesn't leave a lot of great options. We're going to go ahead and capture the queen and promote our pawn. So yeah, that's definitely winning for white. I would probably, capture the queen next. Okay, let's go ahead and get right into those checkmate in one puzzles. So we're going to look at 5 puzzles with a checkmate in one. Yeah, white to play and checkmate in a single move. So go ahead and pause your video and think about this as you like. Okay, hopefully you've had sufficient opportunity to consider the position. And if you look at it, the black king actually has nowhere that he can move right now. He's got this bishop down here on a3 taking away the long diagonal and taking away this e7 square. We've got the rook taking away the d file. The rook takes away the 5th rank. The queen takes away f7. So there's really not a lot of options for the black king. In fact, there are no options for the black king. So all you need to do is find a checking move that maintains the status quo, keeps all those squares taken away, and then also attacks the black king. And that square is knight c7 is that checkmate and one we were looking for. It says phenomenal. Nice job. Okay. Again, this is white to play and checkmate in a single move. So go ahead and pause your video if you'd like to think about this for a bit, and then we will unpack it together. Okay, hopefully you've had a moment to pause the video. Now, if we look at it, it looks like the king's got a couple of escape squares here. He could, well, he's safe where he is. He doesn't have a couple of escape squares. He is safe where he currently sits, and he could move to this b8 square. So these two dark squares, these green squares, where he sits, and then b8 is safe. He can't move to b6 because of the knight attack. He can't move... Oh, actually, I was mistaken. There's actually 3 squares that the king would be safe on. He would be safe on d8. He's safe where he sits there on c7, and he could also move to b8. So those 3 squares. So somehow we have to make an attack on the king and also attack those other 2 squares at the same time. And if you pause your video and have time to think about it, I'm going to go ahead and reveal it now. And the knight is protected, so we can actually just go ahead and play queen takes queen, and that is checkmate. Checkmate. It says hooray. Okay, again, this is white to move and checkmate in a single move. An Anastasia's mate. You might check that out. You can check checkmate patterns on Wikipedia and take a look at Anastasia's mate. Maybe that'll help you solve this one. So yeah, this is white to play and Anastasia's mate in a single move. Go ahead and pause your video. Think about it. Okay, hopefully you've had time to think about that. And I like to kind of keep track of different patterns of checkmates. I would call this an Anastasia's mate because of the rook and knight combination here. A lot of times black will have, or the person to be checkmated will have a piece or something right here in front of them. It's kind of like a back rank checkmate, but on the side. You know, the black king can't move to any of these 3 squares on the g file. g6, g7, and g8 are all taken by either the knight or the pawn. So hopefully you found the move. You can go ahead and play rook to h4, and that is checkmate. Okay, this time it is white to play once again and checkmate in a single move. Go ahead and pause your video and think about it as you like. Okay, hopefully you've had sufficient time to think about that checkmate. But again, we can just kind of look to see where the king can move. And really, he can only move on this A file. That's the only place that is available to the black king is the A file. So we need to find some move that takes away the A file, some checking move. And that move is queen to A6, and that is checkmate. Again, we have white to play and checkmate in a single move. Go ahead and pause your video and think about it as you like. Okay, hopefully you've had a moment to go ahead and pause the video. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at this position and see where the king can move. Well, he's, of course, safe where he is. The black king is safe there. But it doesn't look like he can move anywhere besides capturing the rook. So that's the only legal move there. So somehow we have to attack the black king and defend our rook at the same time. And once I realized that, the checkmate becomes pretty obvious, well, with practice. So the move is actually queen to e8. So QE8. QE8 is checkmate. There's the notation for that. Well, that's a wrap. Thank you very much for watching. Please hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you'd like to know about future chess videos on Chess for Anyone. Thank you very much for watching and have an excellent week.